Hi there everyone, my name's Aidan Smeaton and this is Happy Homes. Over the course of this presentation, please do tweet us at Happy Homes GLA and let us know what you think about it. So who are we? We're a team of 5 software engineers who formed on Friday from a diverse range of backgrounds over an idea, a concept, which was which buildings are using more energy than normal. So obviously a lot of challenges involved in this. How do we answer this question? We've got a vast amount of data that we wanted to look at. We wanted to be able to visualize this data in a friendly and usable way that people can make sense of. And then once they've made sense of it, take action on the data. So give energy consumption a face. So let's have a look at a use case so I can kind of explain how this works. You've got Mr. Smith, who's the head teacher of Alexandra Parade Primary School. That's not actually him, by the way. He gets a bill in at the end of the month, and it says that his overhead costs are huge, they're through the roof. And he has months of bills available to look at, historical bills, but he doesn't really have much of a context to put this in. So he wants to find out if the energy consumption of the school is what's causing these really high, unusually high overhead costs. So he goes onto our website, I'll give you a demonstration of how it works. The Happy Homes website. So it has shows you a map of all the public buildings in Glasgow, and he types in Alexandra Parade Primary School, and it centres on the school. And he can see at the moment it's got a big sad face on it. The building is using more energy right now than it does on average, and it gives him some statistics down the right-hand side about the current usage of energy compared to the average. So he's like, oh, well. And he types in the rival primary school, and he sees that they're doing much better. He sees their current energy usage against their average, and he finds out that that school's doing better. So this is a prompt for him to take action and say, let's get our school's energy bills down. Let's get the energy usage down. There's clearly a problem here. So how do we design this? We took tons of raw data from various different sources, and we created our own data portal. So using the raw data, we created statistics. And with these statistics, we were able to plug these into different portals. So we've got a website, and we also made an Android app as well. Some of the raw data that we used, the Glasgow City Council energy half-hourly consumption data. So if anybody's familiar with that, that's a huge data set. It has information on the amount of data that gets used every half hour in every public council building. So that's a lot of data. We took, as well as that, we used ordnance survey data for the locations as well. In our data portal, we processed this data to make sense of it. We created meaningful data and statistics. So it's not just lots of data points and numbers about how much energy is used every half hour in the school. We created averages and statistics. And then from those statistics, we made it a bit more usable. So if a building's using a lot more energy than it does on average, then big sad face. If it's using a lot less than it does on average, big happy face. So quite simple. So who would actually use this? Because all the data at the moment comes from the public buildings, we think that it would be most useful to people from Glasgow City Council. So people who are in charge of buildings and want to know about the energy consumption of those buildings, they can have a look on the website, as we showed you in the use case, and see how their building is performing compared to its average. It also has use for the general public if people just want to see how their building's doing. And because we've created an open data portal with these statistics, other developers can plug into that and they can use that data in their own applications. So quite importantly, we think that this has a lot of future work. So we can only get so much done in 48 hours. We can expand in the visualization technique. So we've created a lot of statistics, and we think we can visualize these statistics, not just with happy faces, but with other things as well. If we can add more data, at the moment we've got a huge data set for the public sector buildings, but we could add more data for private buildings as well. That data is available. Imagine what you could do with data from people's houses. Ultimately, we want to create a social impact. So it's not just about data anymore, it's about people being accountable for the energy usage in the buildings that they're responsible for. They can see if their building's doing well or if it's not doing well. And if we can change attitudes towards energy usage in buildings, then we can have happy buildings. Thank you. I'm happy to take questions just now. I'd like to invite the rest of my team up to take questions. Also, if you want to view the website, it is live. Please go to our Twitter and you'll get a link to it there.
Hi
there.
Yeah, you talk about the average, seeing the amount of energy being used against the average. Do you mean the average for that building itself? Or do you mean the average for buildings of that scale?
Yes, so I'll let somebody tell you.
Yeah, it's the average for the building in particular, but we also look at the average for that day of the week and the average for that hour of the day. So we know that energy usage will change. For example, an office building, you'd expect the usage to increase between 9 and 5, for example, and then drop off at night. You'd expect to see it drop off at the weekend. So we've looked at all those things as well when we're calculating our averages.
So, after you've got your dashboard, what would the head teacher do next?
So that would just be a prompt for, once they're able to see that, they can then investigate further. It's like a confirmation. They know, yes, my building right now is using a lot more energy at the moment than it does on average. It's a prompt for them to look into the underlying reasons and to get that down. Does that answer your question?
I worked on a project similar to this with MEDES students, and one of the issues was they were working on a housing estate, and everyone knew that the buildings were performing badly. So that knowledge, that extra data wasn't helpful in itself, but I was interested where you said it could be used to form kind of public pressure to improve things. How do you see that developing?
Quite simply, now that it's in the public domain, as much as everyone might know we have a problem here, now that it's been personified as simply a face, it's much easier just to put that pressure towards the people who need to do something about it. And sometimes that could actually be the users of the buildings. If they know what they're doing is causing that face to change colour, they're going to try their hardest to stop that face changing colour if they can be blamed for it.
Yeah, I guess my worry is, like, for example, the example I mentioned, the residents in the housing estate would forever have an unhappy face on where they're living, and they had no control over that. So I think there's potential positive, but could you answer that?
Yeah, sorry, I'll address that. So the comparison is against itself. So the building has always been compared against how it does on average. So if it was red all the time, then that would mean that it's every day it's getting worse and worse and worse. So we think that's maybe unrealistic. It will ebb and flow. It will go up and down, and hopefully people will feel the pressure to get it to come down.
Okay, thank you, Happy Homes.
Thank you.